Newcastle United take on Everton this weekend, which is a massive game, a big game. Every game is big. We want to win every single game, but this game is absolutely huge. Newcastle United without an away win in the Premier League all season. And to be honest, away from home, we've looked absolutely diabolical. So we have to put it right this weekend. Yes, Geordies, welcome back to your Everton preview. So we'll get on to that in a second. I just want to vent a little bit. I want you to just listen to this. I got a letter through the door yesterday with £100 fine. So 2 weeks ago, it was a Sunday morning. It was a crisp, bright Sunday morning. It was beautiful. I was on top of the world. I went to Asda to get me shopping. So I went to Asda, got me shopping, did what I needed to do, was there maximum 20 minutes, got home, realized that I forgot eggs. I'm an omelette guy. Every morning I have omelettes and mango, would you believe? Breakfast for champions. Omelette du fromage, I'll have that happily every day. But when I got home, I realized I forgot my eggs. So I thought, okay, I'll just go early Monday morning. They open at 6. I'll get there at about 6:30. Come home, make me breakfast. Jobs are good. So that's exactly what I did. And the letter yesterday states that I left my car in Asda car park for 20 hours. 59 minutes to be precise. So they're trying to charge us £100 because I went to Asda on the Sunday, came home, and then went back Monday morning. Now, the thing is, I tried to appeal yesterday, but you can't appeal without a photographic evidence of your car being elsewhere. What are we doing here? This is mental. 100 beans for leaving your... Well, I didn't even leave my car in Asda, but apparently leaving your car in Asda car park. So let me tell you something. Somebody out there is getting a strong worded letter from this mango because I did not leave my car in Asda car park for 21 hours. What would I do? That is mental to even think that. Anyways, if anybody has experienced this, I think the company's called Park Eye. I tried to ring them and you can't even speak to a human, so I can't even ring them. Let us know what I can do because I'm not paying that fine. Anyways, the second thing I want to say, if you haven't already, go and watch True Geordie's latest video on Newcastle United because he says everything I want to say, but an unfiltered version. He is brutal with his approach, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And he is absolutely spot on with every single word he says in his video. Spoke a couple of minutes about BS, so I do apologize. Let's get on with the video because no ifs or buts about it. This is a must-win game for Newcastle United. But do you know what else I want to see? A bit of a performance, bit of energy about us away from home because Brentford, West Ham, Leeds, Brighton, all of our away performances this season have been absolutely diabolical, and it's put us in this position in the league table. We're sitting 14th in the league table after 12 games. We cannot afford to drop any more points, and I'm going to be brutally honest about it. If we don't get our act together, we can kiss goodbye to European football because now we're relying on other teams to drop points, and it's not just one or two teams we're relying on. We're relying on 5 or 6 teams to go through a bad spell, so we need to book up our ideas. And as you can see, Everton are sitting 11th, we're sitting 14th. 3 points will put us level with Everton, so I don't care what anybody says, it's a must-win game because we're yet to win away from home this season. A draw at Aston Villa 0-0, a draw at Leeds 0-0, a draw at Bournemouth 0-0, and then we got beat at Brighton 2-1. We got beat at West Ham, who only won one game all season 3-1. And then we got beat away from Brentford 3-1. And again, I don't mind losing games of football. I've said this so many times. I do not mind losing games of football. That happens. You go through bad spells, but it's a performance in the manner of the defeats that really disappoint me. And I want to take you to this graphic because this graphic highlights our troubles away from home. What have we been seeing with our eyes? There's been a lack of energy, a lack of enthusiasm away from home. And I just want to take it to high sprints difference at home to away from home. And the difference is a fucking joke. And let's be brutally honest about it. Because look at the amount of high sprints we're averaging at home, 18. Now, away from home, we're averaging 0.5. And we're going to look at everything surrounding that. We're going to look at injuries. We're going to look at the tactical setup. But unless you don't have the right application on the football pitch and even do the basics of outworking your opponents, you're really going to find it difficult to win games of football. So the first thing I want to see on that football pitch is a little bit of energy. Somebody just to smash somebody. I want to see us working hard in and out of possession. And I haven't made my mind up yet whether it's tactical, if Eddie Howe is setting them up just to sit in a low block and just be extremely compact and don't work hard off the ball, or it's the players themselves that just don't believe in what we're trying to do away from home. And when you don't believe in what the manager is trying to tell you, you get performances like that. So I can't work out which one it is, because you have to go back to April last year since the last time we won in the Premier League away from home. That is simply not good enough. And even if you look at our XG, look, you're probably always going to create a few more chances at home than you are away from home, but not double the amount of chances. In fact, more than double the chances. This season at home, we've got an XG of 10.7. Away from home, it's 4.4. So this, for me, is a must-win game. And I know what you're going to say in the comments. Every game is a must-win game. But you can only look towards your next game. You can't look too far ahead. Every game is a must-win game. Like I say, I don't mind losing games of football, but it's a manner of the defeats. And the manner of the defeats away from home have been abysmal. Let's be brutally honest about it. So yeah, it's a must-win game, but we haven't been great against Everton recently. And the statistics show that, because look, in our last 5 games, we've only beaten Everton once. We haven't beat them in our last 4 games, home or away. We drew 2 and lost 2. And do you know what makes it even worse? This is the first time Everton are facing Newcastle while being above them in the Premier League table since their 3-1 loss away in February 2022. Last season, we went to Everton, drew 0-0, and then they beat us 1-0 at home on the final day of the season. And nearly, if it wasn't for Man United beating Aston Villa, they would have stopped us getting Champions League football. So we don't really play well against Everton. If you remember to the home game and the last game of last season, we struggled to break Everton down. And I kind of feel like Everton are going to employ the same tactics tomorrow. But do you know what? This is where Eddie Howe shows his true colours, because I don't want to keep on repeating myself, but this is the first time that we've had all of our defenders fit, bar Kieran Trippier. So this is the first game this season where we've had Dan Burn fit and healthy, Lewis Hall fit and healthy, Tino Livramento fit and healthy, and everybody else. So this is where we'll really see what Eddie Howe is feeling towards our squad. Is he willing to drop underperforming players like Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale? Is he willing to let go of sentimental and loyalty towards Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw? Is he willing to leave out underperforming players like Anthony Gordon? Now, if we look back at history, we all know the answers towards those questions. And even if you look back at this season, Malik Chow only got these opportunity because Fabian Shaw got a concussion. Lewis Hall only came back into the side because of Dan Burn's red card. Harvey Barnes only got his opportunity because Anthony Gordon got injured. So if those 3 things didn't happen, Malik Chow might not be thriving. Harvey Barnes might not have showed exactly what he can do in the past 4 games. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even care what Eddie Howe has to say in his press conference, because actions speak louder than words. And in my mind, his loyalty is costing us points. But let's talk about Everton for a second, because we all know the rehired David Moyes. He's come back into the Everton and revived their football club, because since he come back and walked through the doors, Everton have had a turn in performances. He's made them hard to beat, difficult to play against, and scoring goals. Now, Everton come into this game in form. They had a 2-0 win against Fulham, and then they went to Old Trafford and beat Man United 1-0 with 10 men for 75 minutes. So they're going to come into this full of confidence. And I've got no doubt David Moyes has wrote up a plan on how to beat Newcastle United, because watching Everton this season, they haven't really got a particular way to play. There is some patterns that remain the same, but David Moyes will try and adapt to his opponents, so matching his strengths with your weaknesses and vice versa. So sometimes Everton might not play the most beautiful football in the world, but it's really effective. And that's a blueprint of David Moyes, right? It's the beauty of this grit and grind football. And that's what we're going to get. We're going to come up against a team that is very well organised, that work hard off the ball and will create us problems. Because if you look at this season, the difference between Sean Dyche's Everton and David Moyes' Everton is now Everton have a lot of quality in the final third. Jack Grealish, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, Iliman Ndiaye, all wonderful talents and can provide a moment of brilliance. So they are 3 players that we need to be wary of. And we've seen it with Jack Grealish this season. He's a really talented footballer. But do you know who's impressed me the most at Everton? Is Dewsbury-Hall. Everything goes through him. He is excellent in that number 10 position, and he's had a new lease of life. But even if you look at the shot-creating actions in the Premier League this season, Everton have got 2 players in the top 20. That is quite unheard of for Everton. And if you have a look at Jack Grealish specifically, he's sitting 5th with 46 shots created this season. Shrewsbury Hall is sitting 19th with 36. Even if we take it to the goal creating actions, Jack Grealish is sitting 7th and Shrewsbury Hall is sitting 12th. Now, Everton do have a particular way they like to attack the opponents, and there's no surprise that Grealish is having so much success at Everton, because if you look at their attacking thirds, so you've got your left attacking third, your middle, and your right. This season, Everton's attacks have came down the left-hand side. 57.1% of their attacks have come down the left-hand side. That is more than any other side in 1/3. The closest to it was Fulham with 42%. So it's clear what Everton want to do. They want to attack with width down the left-hand side. Now, the reason they do this is because they've got a centre-back playing at right-back. So he's the one that tucks into a back three, and they have their left-back supporting attacks. That allows Grealish to have a free role. He's allowed to come inside. He's allowed to hug the touchline, and he's getting so much joy out of it. So if we start getting caught out down our right-hand side, Eddie Howe has not done his homework. Now, since David Moyes took over Sean Dyche, Everton have started controlling games a little bit more. Now, they're still direct and they will still go long at times, but they do have a little bit more quality in possession, a little bit more technical ability in possession where they can play through the lines. And we're starting to see that with David Moyes. Right, okay, they might not control games, they might not have the most possession, but they do like to play through the lines. It's not just always lumping the ball forwards like we're seeing with Sean Dyche. They've absolutely got players that can play a little bit, so do expect Everton to have a little bit more of a direct approach, because they do that at times, but again, they can play through the lines and they like to get bodies around their centre forward. So you've got Grealish, Iliman and Jai, Shrewsbury Hall all picking up second balls, and they're dangerous in that final third. And as you can see from the graphic on the screen, expect this a lot from Everton. Jake O'Brien tucking around to create a back three, and their left back pushing up in line of their attackers. So that means the wingers play a key role in what David Moyes wants to do in his tactical setup, because sometimes it'll be their left back inverting, or it'll be Jack Grealish inverting. So that just creates a bit of rotations in the attacking third. And the idea of it is to pull defenders out of their natural positions, creating space for everybody else. So you will often see Jack Grealish drifting inside, but you'll also see him hogging the touchline, depending on what his left back is doing. And that suits his skill set, because when the game is a little bit slower, Jack Grealish can get in the ball and try and create things. And we all know what Jack Grealish is good at. He's so good at just dribbling past players and drawing fouls. So with David Moyes giving Jack Grealish that little bit of freedom to do what he wants, either hug the touchline or come inside, just gives the opponent something to worry about. And I said this at the start, Shrewsbury Hall is not grabbing the headlines, but his influence on this team is absolutely massive. He's formed a good partnership with Jack Grealish. Shrewsbury Hall has passed to Jack Grealish more than anybody else on the football pitch, 29 times so far this season. On the graphic there, you can see just how much David Moyes has improved Everton on an attacking sense. Last season under Sean Dyche, they had a shot XG of 10.7, which was the 17th ranked in the Premier League. This season, they've got a shot XG of 11.4, which is 7th. So they're having more shots per 90, and their XG per 90 went up from 1.13 to 1.42. And that's because they've added a little bit more quality in the final third, and he's allowing their players to express themselves. And even if you have a look at the XG table, Newcastle and Everton are side by side. We've had an XG of 15.1. Everton have had an XG of 15. So there's not much split in the two sides, so it's going to be a difficult game. Again, if you have a look at the XG this season per 90, Newcastle United are on 1.26, whereas Everton are 1.25. So David Moyes has absolutely got Everton a little bit more fluid, and the stats show that as well. But so do the performances. I feel like Everton are much better to watch on the eye. But one thing you do know that you get with David Moyes is an aggressive team and a team that works hard out of possession. Now, the one thing we do need to be wary of, what is Jack Grealish good at? He's amazing at drawing fouls. Now, we cannot give away needless fouls in and around that final third, because Everton will punish you. We speak about Arsenal creating and scoring from set plays. So do Everton, because this season, Everton have had the most shots from set pieces with 28, and they've had the second highest XG from set pieces with 3.17. So if we start diving into challenges and bringing Grealish down and allowing Grealish to get on the ball and buy those fouls, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. So I want us, when we're defending, to be a little bit more calculated in our approach. Chauffeur the bodies away from goal. Don't just dive in challenges, because that just plays in Everton's hands. Let's just quickly touch upon Everton defensively before we get on to Newcastle United. So when the ball is in the opposition's half, Everton defend in a 4-4-2. Now, when the ball gets into their own defensive half, they revert to a 5-2-3. So one of their midfielders will drop as a centre-back, create more cover in front of goal. But you know what you're going to get with the David Moyes side. A side that's compact, organised. Everybody will know their defensive responsibilities. And they usually sit in the mid to low block. Look, they're going to work hard out of possession. We need to match their energy. If we don't work hard, we're not coming away with anything in this game. I don't want to see us sitting in a low block and just inviting pressure on. I want to see us having a go, giving the opposition something to worry about, because we've done none of that away from home this season. And if I'm being brutally honest, even at home, our performances have not been great. And we all said it. We said it after the Manchester City game. The most important game this week is Everton away. We need to get 3 points. So how do we do that? Well, to be honest, I'm not worried about Everton strikers. I don't think Moyes has found a formula out of getting the best out of Beto or Barry. So the players we need to stop are Grealish, Iliman and Jai in Dewsbury Hall. Now, another thing, Jack Grealish loves playing against Newcastle United. He's ranked up 4 assists against Newcastle, more than any other team in the Premier League. We're seeing it in Manchester City. Jack Grealish struggled in one-on-one situations out wide. He doesn't have the pace of a Tino Livramento. So when Jack Grealish is on the ball, let's force him out wide, force him away from goal, in areas where he's not really going to hurt you. Now, what has been the one common pattern away from home this season, and I've showed you in multiple videos, so I'm not even going to bother showing you again, and that is players picking up positions in pockets of space between our midfield and attack. Unless we cut that out, nothing will change, and teams will start playing through the lines and punishing us. We conceded a goal against West Ham that way, conceded a goal against Brentford that way, conceded a goal against Brighton that way. Bournemouth were doing it consistently, but they didn't capitalise on it. Players are finding it too easy to find space in between our defence and midfield. And I'm just praying to God Eddie Howe has realised this and been working on it in training. Because if he hasn't, then I give up. Now, I think we should take courage from that Manchester United game and do everything that Manchester United didn't do. Manchester United was sluggish, slow in possession. They didn't create any width. And that played in Everton's hands, and that's why they couldn't break them down. When you're coming up against a compact defence, you need width, but you also need to be very, very quick in possession. 1 or 2 touches, setting up patterns of play, having a bit of rotation in the final third because you're pulling markers out of their positions. So this is why Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento have to start this game, because the way you create opportunities against Everton is by creating 2-on-1s in the wide areas, because their fullbacks are vulnerable, because their wingers don't defend very much. So use that to our advantage. But what I truly want to see is a bit more pressing, intensity, physicality, go to our man-to-man press like we usually do. And I'm not saying just go all out and be aggressive and every minute of the game we need to be sprinting. That's not what I'm saying. I just want to see a little bit more of it. But more importantly, what I do want to see is a little bit more patterns going forward. Defensively is not our problem. Our problem is offensively. Now, I'm not seeing those relationships on the football pitch. I'm not seeing those partnerships being created. And that's down to the manager. The manager has to create those partnerships. And it feels like to me, when we're attacking, it's more off the cuff rather than understanding each other's movements. So I want to see us attack with a bit more purpose. And I say this time and time again, one of the greatest weapons on the football pitch is having rotations. Now, you can have beautiful rotations with a profile like Nick Valdemara because he's so comfortable in possession and he wants to drop deep. That's literally drawn the opposition out of their position. Because Nick Valdemara drops deep, that gives the opposition something to think about. Do I jump with him or do I hold my shape? If I hold my shape, Nick Valdemara can turn in possession and we break from there. If I jump with him, that gives us space for the likes of our wingers to exploit. So ultimately, you're giving the opposition something to think about. Now we're going to predict starting 11s, and I'm going to give you 2 because my starting 11 is different to what I think Eddie Howe's starting 11 will be. Let's start with Eddie Howe's first of all, because I wouldn't be surprised to see this. Nick Pope in goal, Tino Livramento right back, Malik Chow centre back, Fabian Shaw centre back, Dan Burn at left back, with Sandro Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton in the middle, Jacob Murphy on one side, Anthony Gordon on the other side, and Nick Valdemara up front. Now, for me, there's a glaring 4 players that should not be in this starting 11. That is Nick Pope, Fabian Shaw, Dan Burn, and Anthony Gordon. And I've got nothing against these guys. And when I say don't start him, I don't want him playing, it's nothing personal against these guys, but it sends a wrong message. If your players are continuously underperforming what message does that send to the rest of the team? Because that sets a mentality that, yeah, I can underperform and I'll not lose my place. You cannot have that mentality at a football club. So it's nothing against these guys personally, but I just think it's sending the wrong message. So this would be my starting 11. And Ramsdale in goal because I think he deserves an opportunity. Tino Livramento right back, Lewis Hall at left back, Malik Chow and Sven Botman at centre back because Sven Botman did nothing wrong. He shouldn't be coming out the side, and he's our best defender alongside Malik Chow. Sandro Tonali, Bruno, and I do think Joe Linton would start, even though I wouldn't mind seeing Jacob Ramsey starting, but Joe Linton didn't play against Marseille, so I'm guessing Eddie Howe was going to play him. Jacob Murphy on the right because Eddie Howe loves him. Nick Valdemara and Harvey Barnes deserves to play. Harvey Barnes cannot be dropped. He's our most informed player. 4 goals, 1 assist in his last 4 games, so he's our difference maker. He's somebody that can win us this game of football. But look, that's all I've got to say on it. I want to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, hopefully 3 points, and I'm celebrating a win in our next video tomorrow. Have a nice night, and away the lads.